Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Rainer from Rainier Books is here. On Sunday the 3rd of January in 2021, we've made it to a new year, and if you haven't seen my videos before in the last couple of days, I wish you a happy new year, and may this be a very good year for all of us, for your loved ones, for your private life, for your professional life, and for your reading, and for your families and loved ones. Let's get started with this new year with the first wrap-up of what I read over the course of the last week, which includes the step into the next year, but also about a couple of things that really worry me going on in the world right now. So let's get started. Aren't many videos that we see in these days on BookTube a little yellowish these days? I think so, because most of us, we are filming during nighttime. And nighttime in Sweden, where I live, starts like at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and it extends to 8:30 in the morning. And when you sleep a little bit longer, you can miss the whole daylight, which is not many hours. But let's get started with news that I woke up to, and I'm really shocked what happens in the United States. We thought that the American people voted for President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the Vice President-elect on November the 3rd, and of course the American people did so. There was a very clear result, but this result is still not safe. It's still not official. There is, on the 5th of January, there will be Senate elections in the state of Georgia. 2 senators have to be elected, and this could tie the Senate to 50-50 and give Kamala Harris the deciding vote. But I think on January 6th, one day after that, Congress will have to decide, will have to certify the results of the electoral vote. The electoral vote was happening on December 14, I guess, and as far as I've heard, everything went normal, so that all electorates voted for the candidate that they were chosen to be voted for. But then there's still a very strong and ongoing campaign to nullify the result of the American election of November the 3rd and of the electoral vote. The president is raging. He's trying everything to stop this. He's not fighting COVID-19, but he's fighting the results of the election. He's still in power for another 17 days and a couple of hours. And in the Senate, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas is the leader of a group of rebels against democracy, as I would say, who has gathered 11 senators behind him to vote against the certification of the Electoral College's result of December 14. And now apparently even Mike Pence has come under such a strong pressure. First he congratulated Joe Biden, remember, in December. At last, after far too many weeks, he congratulated, but then now he seems to turn around and to even try to nullify the result of the election. So the beacon of democracy, the world's greatest democracy on earth, as America likes to call itself, is just a mere shadow of it. I'm sorry to say that. And all those senators who are trying to rebel against democracy, against the result of an election process that is core to democracy, should be punished by the voters in the next elections, hopefully. I just want to read what Lisa Murkowski, Senator of Alaska, has posted on Twitter here. Not that Mrs. Murkowski is a hero of democracy, but I think she will do the right thing on January the 6th. Lisa Murkowski is saying here, "I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that is what I will, just as I strive to do every day as I serve the people of Alaska. I will vote to affirm the 2020 presidential election. The courts and state legislatures have all honored their duty to hear legal allegations and have found nothing to warrant overturning the results. I urge my colleagues from both parties to recognize this and to join me in maintaining confidence in the Electoral College and our elections so that we ensure we have the continued trust of the American people. Full stop. Even Mitt Romney has said the same thing, and even though I'm not a big fan of neither Romney nor Murkowski, I would support that, what they say. This is outrageous. Full stop, and we have to deal with it, and hopefully in a couple of... on January 20, the new year might start. That's what Mary L. Trump, the niece of President Trump, tweeted. She wrote that memoir, Too Much and Never Enough, about how America created, and her family created, the world's most dangerous man. Hopefully this dangerous man will become a lot less dangerous in just 2.5 weeks. But this is still a thriller. This is still an ongoing news story. Unfortunately, it is. And it's not good for America. It's not good for democracy. That being said, I'm still in the work of reading Anne Applebaum's book, Twilight. I'm sorry, I'm just going to explain you why I'm laughing now. Twilight of Democracy by Anne Applebaum, because I'm just laughing because I would have loved to show you the book, like you do on BookTube, you know, but it's residing under my tripod. So if I show you the book, the camera would fall down, and that wouldn't be good for the video. So I'm not going to show you Anne Applebaum's, the original copy of Anne Applebaum's Twilight of Democracy, because that's where we're still in. We're still in the twilight of democracy, and there's so many people who have, who apparently don't see a value in democracy, in equal rights for everybody, in free elections, in accepting elections, in accepting the will of a majority. It's really incredible. COVID is, let me take the second, and then I come to the reading. The second topic, COVID-19 is still surging. We have variants of the virus. We have the English variant. We have the South African variant. And I read a piece in The Atlantic yesterday, which I will link down below, where we all, especially of course The Atlantic also points at the United States, but it could point at the whole world, where we all are really being told to be cautious about this new variant of the virus. The British National Health Service, NHS, has found out, the researchers have found out in the United Kingdom, that this variant of the virus is 50% more transmissible than the original one, which is actually already the second one from Italy that we got from China. You know, it started in China, then we had an Italian variant that became dominant all over the world, and now the British variant is hurting to become the most dominant dominant variant of the virus, and it's more transmissible. It's not more dangerous in the way if it hurts you and me and you and you, but the case that it's more transmissible, and that's also something The Atlantic points in that article by Professor Zdeněk Tupekci. I hope I get her name a little right here. She's a professor, associate professor at the University of North Carolina, and she has written that piece in The Atlantic where she says that even if that virus is not more dangerous to an individual patient, it is more dangerous to the whole world because it transmits easier, it transmits faster, which means that we get more and more and more infections by this variant of the virus. We let it spread, and these more and more infections will lead to more and more people who get really sick. We still know from the studies made in Wuhan in China that 5% of all infected people have to be hospitalized. That's roughly the number, 5%, and which means it's one out of 20. And if these numbers are high, are continuously high, or if they even rise, the hospitals will be overwhelmed, and patients cannot get the care they could get when hospital people are sick, when hospitals are overwhelmed, and everything will just crash down. We'll get more deaths, and that's what we shouldn't want. We are on the finish line. The vaccines are coming. The vaccines are here. We're on the finishing line, but at the same time, we have this more transmissible virus coming. We have to be cautious, wear masks, socially distance, and do everything you can to avoid that you get sick and that you make anybody else sick and that your loved ones get sick. So that's the end of my preaching here on this Sunday afternoon. And now get to the reading, to the books.
That's why we're all here for, aren't we? And I excuse myself, but also I think because this are things that I'm thinking about that worry me, and I want to bring them on my BookTube channel because I think it's important also, even if you look back at the times that we have lived in the future, if you look back, you can always find something that was up to date at the time when we lived. I'm still reading, as I said, Twilight of Democracy by Anne Applebaum, which is an amazing book about many countries, primarily in Europe, in the part of the book where I am, where people are leaning towards autocracy. And I saw a bunch of videos over the new year about the anti-COVID-19 movement, where lots of tens of thousands of people in Germany who say that there is no virus, it's all exaggerated, it's all a campaign by QAnon, by Angela Merkel, by Bill Gates and the Rothschilds, and there's a lot of anti-Semitism in that, which is very regrettable. All these things remind me more and more of what is going on in the United States. The divisiveness of the countries we live in is rising, and the gaps are widening, and that is something that Anne Applebaum takes up in her book. And unfortunately, on the other side of the gap, people are leaning towards a different thing than democracy. But now to the fiction that I'm reading. I'm still reading How to Pronounce Knife by Souvankham Thammavongsa. I hope that I get your name somehow right. This is a collection of short stories from Canada, published in 2020 by Bloomsbury Circus in the United Kingdom. It's mostly, it's absolutely, I read half of it now. It's dealing with Laotian immigrants to Canada and their experiences, and it's funny, it is sad, it is gorgeous, it is beautiful, it is simple. That's, I would say about this amazing collection of short stories. Souvankham Thammavongsa, How to Pronounce Knife. I hope to be finished with that next Sunday when I do my next weekly wrap-up, my second for 2021. I finished, as I said earlier, in my top 10 novels of 2020, together with Karen Evans. I finished as a buddy read. We read Avni Doshi's Burnt Sugar, which became my last read of 2020. A remarkable book from the United States and India about a mother and daughter relationship that is very complicated, but described by an, 100% reliable narrator. I don't know if that's true, in a very remarkable way, very sensual descriptions of India. I have never been to India, but I felt Pune, or Pune, I don't know how you pronounce that in English, but I think it's Pune in Indian, in the native language. So very, very sensual descriptions that I could almost smell and feel the city where everything takes place, and also very interesting family relationships over the generations in this great novel. I have started reading an ebook, and I started reading by random because I for the first time I used the random number generators on the internet to by a random generator to identify a book that I should read from my ebooks. And this has become Lauren Wilkinson's book, American Spy, which was published by Random House in 2019 in the United States. And this is a novel, I think a debut novel by Lauren Wilkinson, an Afro-American writer, about an Afro-American woman who worked for the FBI and who got contracted by the CIA to become the fiancé, but to become the lover of a very high-ranked politician in Burkina Faso in Africa, with the aim to overthrow the government in Burkina Faso. And this is based on a true story. I have read only 2 chapters of this novel, but this is a book that I picked up by random generator, and maybe I will do that again from time to time this year. Just randomly give me something to read from my shelves or from the Kindle that I own, from the ebook reader. I have another one on my TBR that I picked from my shelves now, because I have to read book from my shelves, as most of us have to do, actually. And this is Winter Counts by David. This is Winter Counts by David Heska, Wanbli, Weiden. This was published in 2020. I have talked about it in one of my new books in the month editions last year, I think in the summer, when I started this channel pretty much. And this is a crime novel, a thriller, which is set in both in a reservation of American Native Americans in the United States, but also in the vicinity of Denver, Colorado. And the hero of the book is Virgil Wounded Horse. He is sort of he's a local enforcer on the Rosebud Indian Reservation in South Dakota, and things happen on his reservation with drugs. Heroin comes in, even a killing happens, and that is why Virgil is getting involved in this case. He's trying to solve the case and trying to push away these evil things from the reservation. And this is said to be a novel which is both a thriller but also a very true and good depiction of life on the res. And it has also, as I say, live on the res because there is a book by David Troyer which is called Live on the Res, and David Troyer has written a blurb for this book here. He says, a stone cold thriller with a soul and a politics, compelling and complex, a gripping crime story perfectly married to bigger questions about race and place and American violence. And there's also another blurb on the very top of the novel here by another Native American author that I have read. I read his great novel, There, Tommy Orange. He says, a marvel, a thriller with a beating heart and jagged teeth. So this is what I'm going to read, over the next couple of weeks, probably. I will come back with more weekly wrap-ups, of course, every Sunday. All of you do this on Friday. I do it on Sundays. It's just my day to do this and to finish the week with the weekly wrap-up. I hope that you are doing all right, that everything is fine for you, and that you have a great new year, and that you stay healthy, and that we see each other a lot of times over the course of this year. Thank you very much for watching this. Have a great Sunday, and bye-bye.